Well, hello and welcome to our program tonight. So good to be with you again. We've been re-uploading all of the previous episodes on the new channel here. And I've kind of missed being able to talk with you about the relevant things that are going on in life and everything. And back when those shows were being made, the COVID thing was, we were all in lockdown because of that. And so you hear me talk about that in some of the replays, and it's not relevant now, although, it's still a bit of a problem. But I think they have enough vaccines and pills and what have you for it now. It's not nearly what it was back when it was so dangerous. But anyway, it's just good to be able to be back with you. I think what I've decided to do, when I started doing the uploads, I had gotten to the point where I had just reached burnout. I had worked, and I promise you, this has been a labor of love. I've enjoyed creating this show and making the show for you, but it took 2 years of just almost daily, all the time, and so there was other things that I was needing to get done, and I was just needing to break. No matter how much you love fishing, every now and then you got to go play tennis or something, So at any rate, I've sort of renewed, and I'm feeling good again, and it's turning spring here where I'm living, and I don't know, there's something about the winter that just sort of, as I've gotten older, it didn't used to bother me like it does now, but now the winter sort of, Linda and I both sort of, we get cabin bound, and we're not as quick to go outside and do projects and stuff when it's below freezing, but anyway, the cabin fever has broken, and we've started getting outside a little bit. And anyway, I just started feeling like I wanted to do some new shows. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm still going to upload all of the old shows, and they're the ones with an episode number. I think we just finished number 12. Now, 12 was significant because when I first started doing this show, even though I did a little cable show 20 years ago, it was nothing like this because I didn't have the equipment to work with. It was just point and shoot and do, Whereas now I can do all of these neat, I call it studio magic. But anyway, I'm feeling like doing some more shows. So what I'm going to do, the old shows will have an episode number. The new shows will just be every now and then, and I'll call them specials. For example, this is special number 1. And there'll be no rhyme or reason to when I do it. You'll just have to, I'll always announce it a week or two ahead in the chat room when I'm going to do a new one. But anyway, those first 12 programs, I was learning how to put that show together. And so I figured out some things along the way and learned how to do the projection on the screen in the back, and there was just several things that I thought enhanced the show. For example, when I talk about an artist, you now, if I can find a picture of him, you will now see the picture of the artist behind me, and just various things like that. I also started in my music videos, I started having some scenes. At first, it was just me on a stage, Well, you can do that just for so long. After a while, it sort of starts to get old, It's the same old thing over and over. So anyway, number 12 was where I took a break, took about 3 months, and replayed those 12 while I quickly tried to create the content that it would take to do the next 5 or 6 shows, and then I kept creating that content as we went along. But anyway, so starting next week, we'll start with episode number 13, and that's where I had sort of come into my own to some extent. I had learned how to do the projection and some other things, and the show I thought took a little bit nicer turn, and I was able to do more stuff with it because I had learned some things. So that was the significance of getting these first 12 up before I did my first special. But anyway, I'm just glad to be here and talking with you, and I might get into some philosophizing later on. We'll see how the night progresses. But for our first song tonight, I'm going to do you 4 or 5 songs from my new album, and 4 or 5 songs that are the top songs on my other channel where I have my single videos. And this song always stays in the top 5. YouTube has a way, they have what they call analytics, and you can see which of your videos have gotten the most views and that kind of thing. And this song was written by Eliza Hewitt and Emily Wilson. Eliza was a school teacher, and one day on the playground, she did something that hurt her back, and she was in bed for several weeks or months or a good long period of time. And while she was in bed, rather than do the woe is me thing, she studied English literature, and she became a poet and a writer. And along in there somewhere, she started teaching Sunday school. You know, her back, she always had problems with her back for the rest of her life, but she would be up and down with it, you know. But anyway, one day, one summer, she went to a camp meeting, a Methodist camp meeting, and she met Emily Wilson there, and they became really good friends, and they wrote several songs together. And this is one of the great songs that they wrote together. Let's see. This thing's been in 275 hymnals. Alan Jackson did a version of it. Brad Paisley did a version of it. And of course the Gaithers did. The Gaithers have done a version of everything, I think. So yeah, they certainly did a version of it. But it's that great old song called When We All Get to Heaven.
Sing the wondrous love of Jesus, sing His mercy and His grace. In the mansions bright and blessed, He'll prepare for us a place. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. While we walk the pilgrim pathway, clouds will overspread the sky. But when traveling days are over, not a shadow, not a sigh. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. Let us then be true and faithful, trusting, serving every day. Just one glimpse of Him in glory will the toils of life repay. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. Onward to the prize before us, soon His beauty will behold. Soon the pearly gates will open, we shall tread the streets of gold. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory.
A couple of weeks ago, I told you I was going to tell you a story about Tammy deer. Tammy deer and I go way back, and I didn't even realize this for a while now. what I'm fixing to tell you about, I realized a year or so ago. But anyway, 4 or 5 years ago, someone made a comment, said, you need to be doing a TV show. Well, you know, at that point, I was probably, I guess I was 72 or 3 years old. And I had really just started making the gospel videos again. I had made a few back earlier on and had forgotten about my music channel, really. But, I mean, life got in the way and everything. And all of a sudden, one day I realized, wait a minute, this music channel's doing something, you know. So I started trying to make better videos. I had better equipment and all that. And I did not realize it, but Tammy dear is the one who said that. I was looking through my comments one day and I happened to read it again. And there it was. You know, by that time I knew who Tammy was. But when I first read it, it was just another comment, you know. But anyway, so Tammy, and she has been with us from day one. She has always been one of my rocks and a great inspiration to me. Tammy, I love you so much. I thank you for that. And there's been many of you that's been with us from the first show. Going on 2 years and a quarter now, I think. But anyway, I just appreciate all of you so much. And I appreciate the encouragement and everything. And Tammy, you're special. You're probably the one that planted the seed to make me even think. Had I not read your comment, I may never have given it more thought. But, you know, when I first read it, I sort of chuckled to myself. I'm going, you know, the networks are not looking for a 72-year-old man with no hair on the top to make a TV show. You know, so it just sort of passed. And then a couple of things happened that made me think, you know, I've got my little studio finished now. I mean, what am I going to do for the rest of my life, you know? And so that's when I threw myself into it and started doing the show. But this next song is appropriate for that because what a friend you are, Tammy. A guy named Joseph Scriven wrote the words to this song. And he had a hard life. He was Irish, born in Ireland. And he was engaged to be married, and the night before he was supposed to be married, his fiancee drowned. Well, he was despondent, and he moved to Canada and fell in love with another lady. And before they were to be married, she took ill and died. Well, he had devoted his life to just helping the poor people and everything, and he was poor himself. So in 1855, his mother had a birthday, and he couldn't get over to see her because he just didn't have the means to do so. So he wrote her a poem. And a few years later, he had fallen ill, and somebody was taking care of him, and they ran across this poem. It was never supposed to be, we would never have had this song had this not happened. And they realized, they said, did you write this? He said, yeah, I wrote it. And they got it to a fellow named Charles Converse, and he wrote the melody to it. And it became that great song that we all love this song. What a friend we have in Jesus.
What a friend we have in Jesus. All our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. Because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Have we trials and temptations? Is there trouble anywhere? Should never be discouraged. Take it was our every weekend. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Are you weak and heavy laden? Cumbered with a load of care. Precious Savior, still I refuge. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Do thy friends despise, forsake thee? Take it to the Lord in prayer. In His arms He'll take and shield thee. Thou wilt find a solace there. Do thy friends despise, forsake thee? Take it to the Lord in prayer. In His arms He'll take and shield thee. Thou wilt find a solace there. So take it to the Lord in
William Golden wrote a song that, this is another one of those songs that stays in my top 5 all the time in the videos. And a lot of you have mentioned that it's your favorite song and what have you as we play it. He was a prisoner. He was in prison for about 8 years, and I think he had a come to Jesus moment, and probably a lot of prisoners do. You know, you have time to think about some things. But anyway, he wrote a song called A Beautiful Life. Now, there's that song title is nowhere in the song. It's the only song I know of like that. There probably are others, but most songs are titled by the first line of the chorus or the first line of the first verse or something of that nature so that people can relate to it. In fact, what got me to do the song, a guy came up to me one day. I was playing in a Walmart in Thompson, Georgia. And he said, "Do you know a song named Beautiful Life?" He said, "I'd love to hear you sing that." I said, "No, I don't believe I do." He said, "You know, each day I'll do." And when he did that, I immediately knew what the song was. You know, I grew up, I guess I grew up singing it. It was not one of the ones I sung the most, but I heard it on gospel songs and that kind of gospel stations and that sort of thing. So anyway, I went home and I learned it and put it on one of my albums. And it's been in 41 hymnals, done by the Hee Haw Quartet. It's also done by Ricky Skaggs. The Statler brothers did a version of it. Doyle Lawson did a version. Many people have done this song. So we're going to do our version of it for you tonight. It's called A Beautiful Life.
Each day I'll do a golden deed by helping those who are in need. My life on earth is but a span, and so I'll do the best I can. Life's evening sun is sinking low. A few more days, and I must go to meet the deed that I have done, where there will be no setting sun. To be a child of God each day. My light must shine along the way. I'll sing His praise while ages roll, and strive to help some troubled soul. Life's evening sun is sinking low, A few more days, and I must go, to meet the deed that I have done, where there will be no setting sun. The only life that will endure is one that's kind and good and pure. And so for God I'll take my stand. Each day I'll lend a helping hand. Life's evening sun is sinking low, A few more days, and I must go, to meet the deed that I have done, where there will be no setting sun. I'll help someone in time of need, and journey on with rapid speed. I'll help the sick and poor and weak, and words of kindness to them speak. Life's evening sun is sinking low, A few more days, and I must go, to meet the deed that I have done, where there will be no setting sun. Life's evening sun is sinking low, A few more days, and I must go, to meet the deed that I have done, where there will be no setting sun, where there will be no setting sun.
This next song is going to be on my new album. It's one of my new songs, and I've played it for you before. I had finished it 3 or 4 months ago, and it seemed to quickly have become a favorite of several of you. And it was written by a man named Jim Hill. Jim was he sang in quartets, started singing in quartets from about 1945, and quite a musical fella. And in 2012, he got a special award from the Gospel Music Association for the length of time that he had been in gospel music. But he was riding home one day, and his mother-in-law had suffered a stroke. And he was just wondering why bad things happen to good people, and he got to thinking about the scripture that says that when we get to heaven, we'll have all the tears wiped from our eyes and that sort of thing. And he said by the time he got home, he was really wanting something to write the thing down on, because it had started coming to him. And he said, laying on the ground there was a piece of cardboard. He said he picked that piece of cardboard up, and he wrote this song called "What a Day That Will Be."
Coming a day when no heartache shall come, no more clouds in the sky, no more tears to dim the eye. All is peace forevermore on that happy golden shore. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a day that will be, when my Jesus I shall see, and I look upon His face. no more pain, no more parting over there, and forever I will be with the one who died for me. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a day that will be, when my Jesus I shall see, and I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace. When he takes me by the hand and leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a day that will be, when my Jesus I shall see, and I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace. When he takes me by the hand and leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a day, glorious day that will be.
A few months back, I was on the internet, on YouTube. I get on YouTube quite often, and I really watch more YouTube than I do cable stuff. But trying to keep up with what's going on and see what people are doing and that sort of thing. And I ran across this little group of ladies that they just were exuberant, just seemed to be having the time of their life, and that just moved me to the point where, I'd love for them to be on the show. And I had never had anybody on the show, any special guests, before or since, really. But anyway, I emailed them, and their mom got back to me, and sure enough, they supplied me with some files, and we had them on the show, I think it was 3 times. But this has been 4 or 5 months back, and since tonight is a special, I thought we would feature them again. At this point, they've got almost 1,000 subscribers on their channel. And if you're not a subscriber, there's a link below you can click and go over and look at some of their other stuff that they've got, and you can subscribe. And something that helps YouTube content creators, if you find somebody you like and you want to help them get more views on YouTube, the way to do that is, first of all, subscribe to their channel. YouTube pays attention to this stuff, and it depends on the certain criteria as to how much exposure they give you so that people can find you. But first of all, subscribe. Okay, second of all, like. Now, the third criteria is to comment, and it can be a positive or negative comment, because either one of those, if you take the time to write something, that means you were engaged in whatever the content was. But anyway, like, subscribe, and do some little comment. But I've noticed several of the people in our group make comments on their videos, and I'm so glad y'all have been supporting them. And we just wanted to have them on the program again. They do a sort of a bluegrassy kind of gospel music. And their name is the Arizona Wildflowers. So we're going to feature them tonight.
1, 2, 3. When the roll is called up yonder. When the roll is called up yonder. When the roll is called up yonder. When the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the
I'm going to do a few of my newer songs here in this little stretch in the middle. I was watching, I don't know, I believe it was the Gaither Network or something, and a group of guys they're actually individual artists. One of them is Jimmy Fortune, and one of them is the bass player from the Isaacs. I think he's the daddy in that group. A guy named Rogers, and see if I have this down. Oh, and a guy named Walker. Man, they are good. Oh my gosh! And they had these musicians. I don't know where Bill gets his musicians, but they are top of the heap. Probably first call musicians in Nashville. But nonetheless, I heard them do this song, and I just sat there and I'm going, man, I need to do a version of that, because we all have days where we wake up and we're just hoping we're going to have a good day today, and often we do and sometimes we don't. I mean, that's life. Life is a roller coaster. It's up and down. But anyway, I thought, I need to do a version of this song. Don Williams did this song several years ago, and I don't know how it fared on the charts. I know it did real well. A lot of people like the song. But we're going to do our version of it for you tonight. It's called Lord, I Hope This Day Is Good.
Lord, I hope this day is good. I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, I know I should. But Lord, I hope this day is good. Lord, have you forgotten me? I've been praying to you faithfully. I'm not saying I'm a righteous man, but Lord, I hope you understand. I don't need fortune and I don't need fame. Send down the thunder, Lord, send down the rain. But when you're planning just how it will be, plan a good day for me. Lord, I hope this day is good. I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, I know I should. But Lord, I hope this day is good. Hard for the devil to do, but it would be easy for you. Lord, I hope this day is good. I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, I know I should. But Lord, I hope this day is good. Lord, I hope this day is good. I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, I know I should. But Lord, I hope this day is good. Lord, I hope this day is good. Yes, Lord, I hope this day is good.
Tonight, for our philosophizing, it's really hard to know what to say about this situation. I'm concerned with what's happening in Ukraine. You know, I don't know what to think about end times. You know, there's so many ways to look at Revelations and the things that Revelations talks about. Some people say it's already been fulfilled. Others say that it's a coming time. But we are entering a time that's very dangerous in our world because of the weapons that we have. We have weapons of mass destruction that it might not destroy the earth, but it can destroy the climate that we live in. I mean, it can make it where humans just basically can't exist anymore if we do too much of it. You know, there may be some remote areas where some form of human life may continue to exist, but it won't be as we know it. I'm just asking everybody tonight, let's pray for our world. You know, I can't believe there are still, well, this guy calls himself a president, but he's a dictator. And I would like to say to the Russian people, it is not you that we are against, because you're just people like we are. You are subject to the propaganda. I live in the U.S. We have to deal with propaganda too. And there's propaganda goes on the other side. Both sides do it, you know. So it's really hard to discern when you're being told the truth or not, you know. But here's a way that this will give you a clue. When these strong men start to tell you that certain bits of information that will expose them is either fake news or not true, or they close it down, over there, a lot of in Russia, a lot of their news content is absolutely controlled by the Kremlin. I mean, you can get in deep trouble. You know, over here, at least we can say it. You know, we're not going to get thrown in jail if we tell you the truth, or somebody tells you the truth. So, you know, there's so much propaganda going on, and I can't tell you what to believe. You live in that country, and you've got to feel comfortable in your country. But we love you as people. It is the governments, and I'm talking about our government too. It is the governments that I fall out with. You know, this propaganda that gets us into these wars that are basically can be avoided, but what they do is they make certain people a lot of money, and they don't care at all about the suffering that it causes. Doesn't matter one whit to them, you know. It is all about power. It is all about control. You know, I don't know what it's going to come to. If this war gets out of hand over there, we could have a serious situation in the world. It will not be good for anybody if this war doesn't end soon, because both sides are you're starting to hear talk of nuclear things. Nobody wins when that happens. I'm saying all of this to say this. No matter what side you're on, who you support, who you believe, who you don't believe, let's just pray that God will put his hand into all of this and help our leaders come to some sensible. I don't know if it's even possible. Maybe Jesus is going to have to come back before this is over with. But somehow we have got to try to pray our way. I know no other way to do it. You know, we've just got to pray for the world. We've got to pray for each country, each leader. You know, I'm trying not to be judgmental here, and I'm trying not to put my hand on any one particular thing. I think we know where the problem is, and I think we know who can stop this if he would. But I'm not going to start calling names. Let's just pray for him. You know who I'm talking about. Let's just pray for him that he will come to his senses and quit. Stop this Ukrainian invasion that is killing all of those people. Now, the Ukrainians put up a better fight than he thought they would. So, you know, that might put some sense into it. On the other hand, he seems to have gone crazier, you know. So I don't know. All I'm asking is, whichever side you take, whatever you do, let's pray that God will help settle this in a fair and equitable way so that we all can come out of this without the earth the habitat that we live in being messed up to where we can't live here in a happy and profitable way, you know. And by profit, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about a way to be happy and get along with each other. And I mean, people, we got to start to learn to love each other. This is what I talk about all the time in our programs. If we don't start being kind to each other, it does not matter what color you are. It does not matter what religion you are. It does not matter what country you are from. It does not matter what political persuasion you are. We have got to learn to allow each person their own way of looking at things, and we still have to love them. We are all just people. I love my kids. You love your kids. Doesn't matter what country you're from. We all love we are all just people. Doesn't matter what we look like. Doesn't matter what color. None of that. Every one of us want the same thing for our kids. We all want to be happy. We all want to just be left alone to have a little something to eat and a place that doesn't leak. You know? All of us fall into that category. You know, I mean, everybody that's wired right. I mean, there may be some people that have been so mistreated in their life, or something happened in their life where they no longer understand up and down and right and wrong and in and out and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there are a few people that we can't explain that. We don't know what causes that. But by and large, we're all just people, and we all react. We all respond to each other in the same way. We can have our feelings hurt. We can hurt other people's feelings. We need to start thinking about that. I didn't mean to go on so long here, but let's just pray for each other. Let's pray for our countries, plural, our leadership in all of the countries. We just need to ask God to help us get through this. And let's particularly pray for those Ukrainians. How they are withstanding this assault, I do not know. They're resilient people. I pray for them every day. Lord, help them. But anyway, I just wanted to speak on that for just a minute tonight. We just got to you've heard me say it time and time again. I wish I could say it to the whole world, but we've got to be kind. We've got to start being kind to each other. We've got to allow each person their own way of looking at things, whether we agree with them or not. We don't have to agree to get along. We can disagree but still be agreeable. So, just know that I love you. All I want out of this is for people to learn to be kind to each other. And let's just hope and pray that God will put His hand on our earth and help us get past all of this and all these bad feelings that basically have been instigated by, I hate to say it, politicians and certain religious leaders, not all, are the ones who divide us most. And we pay so much attention to them. We need to start thinking for ourselves. We need to do a little read our Bible for ourselves, or whatever book you study from. And start to act accordingly. And it has to start with each of us. It's not going to happen all at one time. It has to start and grow, But anyway, again, I love you all so much. And I just hope we'll all learn to be kind to each other. Tracy Dart wrote a song back in 1974, and he got it recorded on his group recorded it, and then a couple of other groups recorded it, but it never really took off. It never did too much. And he said one day in 1988, somebody called him. One of his friends called him and said, "You realize you've got a hit?" He said, "What are you talking about?" And the McCameys had done this song, and all of a sudden it was number 10 on the charts. Well, he watched, the next couple of weeks it was number 1 and stayed there for 5 weeks. And it's a song he wrote called "God on the Mountain." He said that he and his buddy had put together a pool company. They built pools. So they were doing really well. And their bookkeeper kept telling them, said, you need to spend more money. You know, in other words, spend money to keep from paying taxes on it. And so they were investing heavily, and because the pool, all of a sudden it got to be wintertime. Well, not a lot of people order pools in the wintertime, you know. And they got to doing some figuring, and suddenly they were like $22,000 in debt. Well, you know, what do you do with this? And so his partner said, look, you want the company, you can have the assets, but you can have the debt. And so rather than go bankrupt, he said, you know, I'm going to fight this thing through. And so one night while he's going through all of his troubles and everything, this song starts to come to him. Our God, he's the God whether we're on the mountain or whether we're in the valley. In other words, he helps us rejoice, but he helps us get through the trials and the tribulations that we might suffer, you know. And he said it was almost like within a week or so, somebody called him with a special needs child that needed a pool. Now, it's wintertime, but they need the pool, and they need a heated pool for their child. Okay, there's one. Then another one called. Before he knew it, he had put 12 pools in the wintertime. So, anyway, so now he's blessed with a successful pool business. But in 1988, he has this hit with his song by the McCameys. So we're going to do our version of it for you tonight. It's called God on the Mountain.
Life is easy when you're up on the mountain and you've got peace of mind like you've never known. But when things change and you're down in the valley, don't lose faith, for you are never alone. And the God on the mountain is still God in the valley. When things go wrong, He'll make them right. And the God of the good times is still God in the bad times. The God of the day is still God in the night. We talk of faith when we're up on the mountain, but talk comes easy when life's at its best. But in the valley of trials and temptations, that's when faith is really put to the test. And the God on the mountain is still God in the valley. When things go wrong, He'll make them right. And the God of the good times is still God in the bad times. God of the day is still God in the night. Yes, the God on the mountain is still God in the valley. When things go wrong, He'll make them right. And the God of the good times is still God in the bad times. God of the day is still God in the night. Yes, the God of the day is still God in the night.
This next song is another song that'll be on the new album. Charles Gabriel was a poet, songwriter, wrote some 7,000 songs. And he was the choir director for his church. And they asked him, he was a very musical guy, and they asked him one time to write some sort of song. They were fixing to have a missions day in their church. And they asked him to write a song for the occasion. And he wrote this song called Send the Light. So we're going to do our version of it for you tonight. It's called Send the Light.
There's a call comes ringing o'er the restless waves. Send the light, send the light. There are souls to rescue, there are souls to save. Send the light, send the light, send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine forevermore. We have heard the Macedonian call today. Send the light, send the light. And a golden offering at the cross we lay. Send the light, send the light, send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine forevermore. Let us pray that grace may everywhere abound. Send the light, send the light, and a Christ-like spirit everywhere be found. Send the light, send the light, send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine forevermore. Let us not grow weary in the work of love. Send the light, send the light. Let us gather jewels for a crown above. Send the light, send the light, send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine forevermore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. Let it shine forevermore. Let it shine forevermore.
I don't even know how to start telling you about this song. I have such and they don't even know this, but the Lefevres have always been an important part of my life. Anthony Berger was, I don't know if you'd want to say the king of gospel music, but he was the top of the heap of gospel music piano players. But Eva Mae had to be the queen. I remember an occasion, I must have been about 5, 6 years old. We were living in Swainsboro, Georgia at the time, and they had just put in a new radio station there, WJAT, and the guy built an auditorium. They called it the Nancy Auditorium. And we would go to see, they would have different events there, but by that time my dad had gotten into church, and it was before he started preaching, but he was a deacon in the church, and we would go to these gospel sings. And one night the Lefevres came to the auditorium, and Daddy bought 4 or 5 of their records. And we had, Daddy started out as an insurance salesman, and at that point, we were financially okay. We could, we weren't rich by any means, but we could afford stuff. I mean, he drove a nice car, and we had a nice radio. This was all right when TV was coming in. We didn't get a TV right off because where we were, you didn't get any reception. But we had a big old radio. Sounded great. I mean, it had a big old bass speaker in the bottom. And I loved the way that thing sounded. I would put on those Lefevre records. They just had such a spirit and such a feel. And I didn't even realize Eva Mae was influencing me at that point with her piano playing. I didn't realize I was starting to know I was going to be a musician, but I did not know the depth of what I was going to wind up doing, But I was listening to her play piano, and oh man, between her and Liberace, that's who I wanted to be. Either Eva Mae or Liberace. But anyway, years rocked on by, and her son, Mylon, started singing in their group. Well, Mylon went in the Army, and he was used to making, I believe he said his pay was about $84 a month or whatever it was. This was in 1963. And while he was in the Army, he wrote a song called Without Him. Okay, he hitchhiked. He said they were doing some kind of special thing that he and his mama and the group were doing, and because he had sung with them before, he hitchhiked 600 miles so that he could be with them on this given evening. Little did he know the gravity of what was going to take place from him doing that. Anyway, he sang his song called Without Him. Well, none other than Elvis Presley was in the audience that night because Elvis loved gospel music, and he was in the process of making a gospel album at that time. And so he said, I want to meet this guy. I want to meet this young man. So they took him back, and he and Mylon met, and he wound up doing that song Without Him. Well, the next thing you know, I mean, Elvis was the king of rock and roll, but whatever he touched seemed to turn to gold back in those days. Well, before you know it, over 100 groups had done his song, and suddenly he had thousands of dollars when he's used to having $84 a month. And he said that just, he didn't handle it well. First thing he did was he went and bought a Corvette. Next thing you know, he's formed him a rock Christian group, but he was more into the rock part of it than into the gospel part of it. 17 years goes by, and he's rubbing shoulders with all the big boys from England. The English invasion was taking place about that time, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Herman's Hermits and Jerry and the Pacemakers and all those. And so he was rubbing shoulders and doing projects with these people, but he was also doing drugs with them. And he said for 17 years he tried to live without him. And said in 1980 he began to realize he couldn't live without him. And I relate to his story so much because I never rubbed shoulders with the big boys, but I was a prodigal son too, and you do come to that realization at some point, hopefully, and you decide to come home. Well, he put together a new band, and the rest is history. He became the Mylon that we all know and love today. But I just had to do this song. It came back to me, and I don't even know why it came into my mind one day, and I'm sitting here, and I was humming the song. I'm going, man, What a great song. I have got to do that song. So I did my version of it, and it'll be on the new album. Mylon, thank you for writing this song. My friend, you did a piece of work when you wrote this song. Without him, I could do nothing.
Without him I could do nothing. Without him I'd surely fail. Without him I would be drifting like a ship without a sail. Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? Please don't turn him away. Oh Jesus, my Jesus, without him how lost I would be. Without him I would be dying. Without him I'd be enslaved. Without him life would be hopeless. But with Jesus, thank God, I'm saved. Oh Jesus, do you know him today? Please don't turn him away. Oh Jesus, my Jesus, without him how lost I would be. Please don't turn him away. Oh Jesus, my Jesus, without him how lost I would be. Jesus, oh Jesus, do you know him today? Please don't turn him away. Oh Jesus, my Jesus, without him how lost I would be. Without him how lost I would be. Without him how lost I would be.
For our last song tonight, I'm going to do you the number one song it has always been number one on my channel. from day one. It's the song. It's why I'm sitting here right now. I looked down one day. I had put these little videos on YouTube years ago, right when YouTube was in its infancy. It was before Google bought it and long before high def. My earliest videos really didn't even look that good because of the limitations of YouTube. Limitations of my equipment as well, but nonetheless, they were primitive. But I looked down one day, and Sweet By and By had a bunch of views, and I had done nothing other than put it up. It had been up for 4 or 5 years, but all of a sudden, YouTube had taken over. I mean, not YouTube, but Google had taken over YouTube, and suddenly made it a high-def platform, and they had started making it where you can do what's called monetize your channel once you get past 1,000 subscribers. And I don't know that you make a living on YouTube, but it helps buy some groceries. And so YouTube made it to the point where all of a sudden it made it where content creators started making more content for YouTube. And of course the cameras had gotten to the point where my earliest high-8 camera cost me $3,000. And it was just a little high-8 camera. It was basically, might have been one step above VHS tape, you know. Now you can buy a high-def camera that's ultra high-def, $500. Now, that's not top of the rung, and you can buy some cheaper than that. And all of them shoot 4,000 lines per inch, or whatever that ultra high-def is. So now it's where a lot of people can afford to make videos. And so YouTube has become what it has become. But anyway, this song was the one that made me realize the power of YouTube. In my early days, when I used to travel around and play for people, you know, on a good night, we might have 200 people. Now, there were times when there was many more than that. But most of the time, we averaged 150 or 200 a night when we finally got to the point where we were doing little concerts. And some nights, one night we played for 5 people. But the Bible says where 2 or more are gathered. So when 5 people showed up that night, we gathered and we played and we sang and we had a great little meeting, you know. But that was one of the extremes, of course. I mean, most of the time it was many more than that. But things do happen. And anyway, what I'm saying is this. All of a sudden I realized with YouTube, we're talking tens of thousands of people that you can minister to. And it's 24 hours a day, every day of the week. You know, no matter what time zone you live in or whatever, you know, I don't have to travel anywhere to get there, and you don't have to travel anywhere to see it other than your nearest device that you watch it on. So once I realized that, I'm going, you know, this is a new calling for me. Because I had always been into technical things. I had a studio, and I had been dabbling in video and just some things, you know. God set me up for this. I didn't realize that at the time. But anyway, Sanford Bennett and Joseph Webster wrote this song back in 1868. And it's kind of interesting that Sanford Bennett owned a little store, and Joseph Webster was one of his buddies, and they would occasionally write songs. But Bennett understood Webster's moods, and Webster was subject to a little melancholy now and then. He said, Webster walked into the store one day and he said, "What's the matter, Webster?" He realized he was a little down. He said, "Oh, I don't know. It'll be better by and by." And Bennett knew that in the past, when he would get in these little moods of melancholy, if he'd give him a project to work on, sometime it would get him out of it. So he said, "You know, there might be a song in there. How about Sweet By and By?" And Webster said, "Yeah, I guess so." And he said just in a few minutes, he had, fast as he could write them, he wrote all the words out and handed it to Webster. And said he looked at it, and all of a sudden he reached over and picks up his fiddle and started playing this melody, and within 30 minutes they were singing "In the Sweet By and By."
There's a land that is brighter than day, and by faith we can see it afar. For the Father waits over the way to prepare us a dwelling place there. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. By and by, in the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. We shall sing on that beautiful shore the melodious songs of the blessed, and our spirits shall sorrow no more. Not a sigh for the blessing of rest. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. By and by, in the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. Our bountiful Father above, we will offer our tribute of praise for the glorious gift of His love and the blessings that hallow our days. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. By and by, in the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. By and by, in the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. We shall meet on that beautiful shore.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm glad most of you have found our new channel. We're still missing a lot of our international crowd. I don't know why I've not been able to get the word out to them, but I need to make a little commercial or trailer to explain what's happened and put it on the other channel on that we used to have this show on, and maybe they can find out about the changeover from that. But anyway, keep inviting your friends, tell people about the show, and let's see if we can build up the crowd on this channel. And of course, if you're interested in any of our CDs or the book, my website is www.birdyeomans.com, and you can go to lindayeomansrealty@gmail.com if you want to ask any questions about what you see there on the site. But thanks again for being with us. And you know, I always ask you at the end of every show, be kind to each other this week. And we'll be back next week with another upload of episode 13.